Welcome to Action Figure Obsession, episode 106, and just wanted to show these two guys off real quick because I kind of get a kick out of them. I don't talk a lot about McFarlane toys on the channel because even though I have about 50 of the DC Multiverse figures and, I don't know, 5 or 6 different Spawn figures, none of which is really my ideal perfect Spawn. I don't really care about Spawn as a character, but I do like the costume design. But these two figures are based on, by artist Todd McFarlane's original sketch when he first conceived Spawn. And I could be wrong about this, but I think it was 1977 when he first, as a teenager, created the idea of Spawn. And his original costume design, Spawn, would have had a blue and black design. But then later on, he realized that it probably would be more popular in red and black. Red, black, and white is a great combination, and that's what he settled on. But these two both look like the artwork of a teenage boy. They're very busy. Lot going on. The skulls on the boots, I absolutely love those. And, and those eventually translated into, I guess, real skulls or metal skulls or something. In the final character design for Spawn, so it's not like that was disused. It was just sort of modified to be part of the chains that he's bound up in. And trying to remember, I think I got the blue one. Well, I got the red one first. I think that came in a 2-pack with Spawn Creator, if you want to call such a derivative character or creation. Spawn Creator Todd McFarlane. It was a 2-pack with Spawn in his 1977 design. Isn't it amazing to think that next year Spawn will be 50 years old? I mean, that just blows my friggin' mind. But here's the man himself, the creator of Spawn, the co-creator of Venom. What else? Angela, co-creator of Angela, which he lost in a lawsuit because he did some sketchy stuff. McFarlane, as a businessman, has always been a little sketchy. I think he's had some difficulties and some problems, but somehow he always seems to land butter side up. Maybe it's just because he's Canadian. I'm not sure. Very talented inker. Very talented comic book inker. His pencils, they're okay. I don't think they're great. He has a very strange blend of cartooniness and sort of gothic horror in a lot of his comics art. But I always loved his inking, even over himself. Just a very, very talented inker. A good line. Good ink line. And I've always said the three of the Image founders, McFarlane and Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld, they all would have been fantastic inkers if that's what they had chosen to do, instead of trying to be pencilers. None of them is a particularly good visual storyteller. None of them is particularly good at plotting stories. But somehow, despite all that, their flashy styles in the 90s won people over, and they became popular enough at Marvel that they were able to break away and start their own company, which was Image Comics. And Image Comics has a wild history over the years. They've published some fantastic comics, no doubt about it. But some of the people that started that company, I'm not so sure I'd want to have a beer with them, Friday after work. Because they, like I say, Liefeld and McFarlane and Jim Lee have also done some things that I personally believe are, at a bare minimum, unethical in the comic book industry. And it could even be worse than that in some cases. But that's just my feeling about that. I do have some other Spawn figures. I have the one from the 2-pack with Batman. Maybe I'll feature that 2-pack in an upcoming episode, because that's probably the best comic book Spawn that I have. These Spawns really don't represent the costume design of Spawn that McFarlane went with in the comics, of course. But they do represent what teenage Todd McFarlane thought a cool superhero looked like, and I think that even then, he really was just sort of kit-bashing Batman and Spider-Man together to get into something that unbelievably has endured for well over 30 years now, Spawn. Amazing to me. I will hand it to him that he's kept that comic book going this long. is amazing to me. My nephew once moved across the country when he was a teenager, and he didn't want to haul all his comics with me, so he gave me a bunch of his comics, and one of them was the first 60 issues of Spawn, which I actually managed to read through in about a 3-day period over a rainy weekend. And holy cow, those comics are just so hollow and empty. I mean, they're fun to look at, but it's just overwrought melodrama in those stories, and some very ugly ideas in some places. And I mean, I get that if you love Spawn, that's fine, and that may be why you tuned into this video. But mostly what I got out of reading 60 issues of Spawn in 3 days was a pounding headache, because I really had to force myself to keep reading, because I kept thinking, well, this will get better, this will get better, he's really popular, this will get better. No, it never got any better. And now I can't imagine that it's any better now than it was back then, probably around, I'm going to say, somewhere in the late 90s, early 2000s, when I came into that stack of books, read them, and sold them off almost as quick as I could, because, you know, they were going for money at the time, and I found almost no entertainment value in them at all. There's a handful of issues in the first dozen issues where McFarlane brought in some other writers, like Alan Moore and Dave Sim, and I think a couple other guys, and those issues were very interesting for what they were. McFarlane, I think, was trying to prove the concept that Spawn was a great character, but McFarlane writing the character, if anybody's ever read that Spider-Man series that McFarlane did after he stopped drawing Amazing Spider-Man, when they gave him his own Spider-Man title that was just called Spider-Man, he's not a great writer, everybody. He's a better artist than a writer, I'll give him that. But as far as art goes, I think he's also a better inker than a penciler. And frankly, I think that he's probably a better brain surgeon than he is an entrepreneur or a publisher. Again, you know, your mileage may vary. Not a huge fan of the guy. It does amuse me that I have this action figure of him. It amuses me that he's so, I don't know, proud of himself and his quote-unquote accomplishments, that he made this action figure and included it in a 2-pack with the red and black Spawn. He could have just done a 2-pack of these 2 Spawns, which were his 2 original concept ideas, I believe. But no, it was better to just stick himself into it, because he's Todd McFarlane, and, you know, that's it. Anyway, that's a look at my concept Spawns, my 2 concept Spawns that I got. The first one, the red one, I got at a GameStop up in South Burlington, Vermont. The blue one I think I got in Rutland, Vermont at a Walmart. They were a little more expensive than I liked, but I really dig the idea of these sort of first concept action figures. I would love to see more of these from Marvel, from DC, from everybody. I think it's really neat to take the initial concept and turn it into an action figure, even though it has never really appeared in the comics in that form. And I do get a kick out of those skulls on the boots. I mean, they're just so damn cute. They're adorable. They really are, Todd. They're adorable. So I will hand it to him, both for putting the skulls on the boots and for giving us action figures of these versions of the characters that he created when he was just a teenage kid, just dreaming away about being a famous comic book artist, and eventually he pulled it off. I can't deny that. So Todd, for that I will hand it to you, and stick you here with your certainly your most enduring creation, Spawn. I don't think there's anything that McFarlane himself has created that has had more life in it than Spawn. And there we go. I'm on the crappy camera, so sorry for the focus issues, but yeah, I do have to hand it to him. Spawn is still alive and kicking, and his toy company is still alive and kicking. Despite all its, their toys are somewhat janky and weird, and they're 7 inches, so they don't quite fit in with most people's action figure collections. So you basically have to start a collection of McFarlane figures if you want to collect any of them, unless you don't mind, everything not being in the same scale. And of course, at my OCD, I have to have everything in the same scale, so... Yeah, and there are some DC characters that he did that I liked in the DC Multiverse line. So I do have some McFarlane figures, maybe 50, maybe 60 when you count all the Spawns and whatever else. It's just part of that action figure obsession. I don't like the guy personally, but some of his characters, some of his designs, and some of the licensed stuff that he's done, like with DC, I go, okay, yeah, I need a Green Lantern action figure. I'd like to have a Justice League, even if they have to be 7 inches, and even if their articulation has to kind of suck. I don't know. What can you do? It's just the way it is when you're obsessed with action figures. Thanks for joining me for episode 106 of Action Figure Obsession. I do appreciate you stopping by. If you like my content, please like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and I will see you on the next. Come on. I'll see you on the next Action Figure Obsession.